What's up, you guys? This is Mr.Dela X, and today we are going to make a techno kick. Well, it's already been made on my end. I'm just gonna go ahead and explain the process that I used to make a techno kick, how to make it punchy, thumpy, stompy, whatever you guys want to call it. Let's go ahead and begin. I'm gonna play the kick and bass all together. Then after 8 bars, I'm gonna take off the bass and then let the kick play, and then I'm gonna go to the mixer channel, and I already have the kick routed to the mixer to a channel. I'm gonna go ahead and take off the effects chain so you guys can hear the difference of that kick, and then I'll go ahead and explain what kick I use and the process. Let's go ahead and start. Okay. All right. Now that we got that out the way, let me just go ahead and begin. So for the kick, I did use a sample from a sample pack that I've used previously on one of my previous tutorials called the DMD FR909. Pretty awesome pack. To be honest, I used up most of all the percussion here. As far as the kick though, I gotta go to the hard kick folder that I use. I love this one a lot. Doesn't have too much harmonics, too much distortion. It's just right. All right. So for the kick, I already have it. Of course, you can already see I already have it in GUI. I'll go ahead and double click it and go ahead and show you the original kick. So let me go ahead and mess with this out now. Put it back to 0. And this is the original kick. Now, as you can see, for me, it has too much tail. I don't like to have too much tail. I like to have some breathing room for my bass at the 3/16 and 4/16. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that the out knob back to 50%. Right. Okay. And I like to have my kicks at least 2/16. And it's okay if it has a little bit of tail. That's fine. If you do too much out of the knob, too much percentage, you increase the percentage, of course, it's going to sound unnatural for the kicks. So 50% is fine, even though it has a little tail. It doesn't have to be exact, not punctual. All right, let me go ahead and that's pretty much it for the sample, how I tweak it. Now, as far as the mixing process, as I was playing earlier, the mixing process, I do add multiband distortion, which is, I use a free one called Tridert. Where is it? Go ahead and pull it up. It's hiding from me somewhere. Where is it? I got it here, but it just won't move. There it goes. Tridert. I do have 2 EQs. Then I have a compressor. Let's go ahead and go in order. And I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys about Tridert. Again, it is a multiband distortion. Now, the reason I like multiband distortion is because it gives you freedom on each certain bands that you would like to boost or change the distortion settings, etc. Now, for techno kicks, especially, if you want to be different, if you want to have a different techno kick for each project, I really suggest multiband distortion. You can use the same kick and then slap different settings on on Tridert, and it'll sound like you have a new kick. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna pull up Voxingo Span so you guys can get a visual of what the kick is doing. Let me go ahead and zoom out of this real quick. Sorry, I'm a neat freak for this. I have such a mess. Alright, come on. Okay. So go ahead and play this. I do have Foxeco Span, the spectrum analyzer. I also have a spectrum here, and I have the waveform here. Go ahead and play the kick. I'm gonna have the kick playing, and then what I'm also gonna do while the kick is playing, I'm gonna mess around with the settings here on Triter. Now each band, so this band is the low band. This is the mid band, and this is the high band. And even though it doesn't show, how do I know? The reason being is because of these two filter knobs here. Now, with these two filter knobs, what they do, anything that wherever you have it, wherever you have the knob set, it sends the information to certain bands. So in this case, this band, I have it at 200 hertz, and basically what that's telling you is anything below 200 hertz, all that information is being sent to the low band. Anything above 200 hertz is going to the mid band. Now we do have another knob here. Now this one, pretty much I have it at 4,000, around 4,000 hertz. Now, basically what that's telling you, anything in between 200 hertz from here that you set here to 45,000 hertz, all that information gets sent to the mid band. Then anything above 4,500 hertz, I hope I'm saying that, 4,500 hertz goes to the high band. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the kick, and the only settings I'm gonna mess with is the type and the gain, and then I'm gonna play them solo, and then I'm gonna play them all together. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start. I hope you guys got to hear that. Hope you got a grasp of it visually, and whatever you call the other part. But um, so yeah, pretty much like I said, as you can see, the only thing that I messed with as far as on Try Dirt were the knobs, was the type knob and the gain knob. Type knob, of course, says several different distortions types. Then the gain, volume wise, I try to mix my kick, try to mix the low, the mid, and the high. Try to make them sound natural as possible. As you notice, if you add too much gain on one, of course, that's gonna boost any unwanted harmonics. Excuse me, any unwanted harmonics, and that's you're gonna have a bad time, man. So it's a lot of trial and error, but of course, like as you can see, less is more, not too much. But as far as the techno kick, the one thing I do suggest, having a little bit more boost on the gain for the mids. Of course, that's where the power of the techno kick comes from, mostly the mids. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next part. The next part would be the EQ. I'm gonna still have Vasinko span pulled up, so for mixing purposes, so you guys can see why I have two EQs. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and play the kick, and then I'm just gonna mess with the EQs. The EQ plugins. I'm gonna turn them off and then turn them on. That way you can get a visual of what exactly I'm cutting off. So let's go ahead and start. So, um, so I hope you guys got to see that on the visual from Boxigo Span. Let me go ahead and explain what I did. Of course, I did a lot of. I did two EQs. The reason being, I want to have a clean kick for when I mix my bass with it. So let me pull up this first one. I do have a slight boost on at 139 hertz that would fall under C sharp 3. And of course, I do everything by key again. I don't know if you've seen my previous videos, but I do everything by key, EQ by key as well. For me, it's the C sharp minor. All right. So I do a little boost at the 139 hertz just to get a little bit of thump on the low mids of the kick. Do a cutoff around 33 hertz, which that would fall under C sharp 0, C sharp 1. Just confirm that. Give me 1 second. It'll be C sharp 1, I'm sorry. So that's the first one. Also, as you can tell, I have a dip around 277 hertz, which that would be C sharp 3. No, C sharp 4. Reason being, I have a dip under 277 hertz is because the 200 hertz area is considered the mud zone. Of course, if you have all your sounds playing together and you don't have a dip in your 200 zone, your mix is gonna sound muddy, and that's a big no-no. And of course, for preference, I like to have a decent mix for the cut on the high. Have it at C10, C sharp 10, C sharp 9, C sharp 10. For as far as boosting and cutting, the boost is at 3 dB and the cut is at 3 dB as well. the dip. I'm sorry, the dip is at 3 dB. I don't have it too much. Less is more. Like I said, you don't want to do too much because then you're taking you're taking too much. I'm gonna pull up the second EQ. Did another dip, same spot, 277 hertz, and then another cut on the 34 hertz, which is C sharp 1. Reason being, I don't know if you got to see the Voxingo span. It still has some unwanted frequencies that on the low end that was still bleeding. So if I did another EQ to make my low end clean in order for me to mix the bass, and later on I will go ahead and explain that on the next tutorial. Okay, so once we got all that, I do have compression. Reason being is for gain staging. So I don't know if you saw here for my kicks. I always set my kicks at -6 dB. Reason being, it gives me more headroom, and also have it set on mono just to double check, just to confirm that, it gives me a peace of mind that I have the kick in mono. So this little knob right here, just turn it all the way to the right, merged, and you have your kick in mono. All right, so back to the final step. I do have a compressor. Reason being, is in order to gain stage, because as the volume fader here is at -6 dB, I also want the kick volume to be at -6 dB. So right now, without the compressor, the volume from the kick is at -3 dB, but I kind of want it to match the volume fader. So what I did is slap a compressor. Go ahead and play the kick so you guys can get a grasp of it, and then I'll turn it off and on the compressor side. And one reason, of course, why I have the compressor on for the kick is because it also keeps the dynamics of the kick set. Doesn't have it all out of control. When you export the track, you'll see that the wave of the kick is consistent. All right, and I can go ahead and share my settings as well. I don't have too much. The threshold, I'll go ahead and explain that later on my next tutorial. The attack, I do have it at a short attack, which is 10 milliseconds. The release, I have it pretty long, at 500 milliseconds. The ratio, of course, at 2.0. The type, I have it at soft. Notice soft is better for me. Some vintage is too powerful for me, in my opinion. Again, it's my preference. The gain, let me go ahead and play that kick again and mess with the gain again, so I can get a good idea of what I did there. Just trying to make sure it actually did something. It was probably doing something before, but let me just double check. Okay, so I don't know if you guys were able to see that. So on this side, basically when I brought it down to 0, the volume went down to less than 6 dB. Like I said, I wanted to keep the kick of the volume and the volume fader the same at -6 dB, so that's the reason I boosted up the gain just a tiny bit. I usually do my increments with gain and volume by 1.5 dB. So that's one of the reasons I mess with the gain. I'll go ahead and play it again so you can guys see the volume of the kick on this side. When I take off the compressor, it makes a small difference, but yeah. So we'll leave it at that for now. Sometimes my OCD kicks in. But, okay. Let's go ahead and recap everything. So as far as the kick, again, I do use a sample pack, the DMD FR909. This pack, I found it on the internet a couple years ago. But in case you're not able to find it, shoot me an email. I'll send you the pack directly. Pretty awesome pack. We use the kicks a lot. Going to the settings, of course, the kick is very long, so you might want to mess with the out knob to shorten the tail. But keep in mind, by shortening the tail, it's very good. So you give your bass your Roma bass some space for the second half of the bar, which is 1/16, 2/16, and then 3/16 and 4/16. You give that freedom to your bass to breathe. Now, you route the kick to the mixer channel, of course. Put the kick in mono just to double check. Most of them should be in mono, but just in case, you use this knob, move it all the way to the right, and merge. Basically, they call it merge, and you put your kick in mono. This is optional, having the volume fader set at -60 dB. I use it to create more headroom when it comes to mastering. But yeah. Next, the effects chain is the most important. Do keep in mind the multiband distortion goes first. The settings, low, mid, high. Of course, try to have a little bit more on the mids on the gain, because the mids is what makes or breaks a techno kick. All right. The two EQs, you want to have a clean kick for when you start mixing your bass. Clean kick, slight boost, nothing more or less than 3 dB. And of course, compressor, if you're picky like me, if you want to have the volume of the kick matching the volume fader, -6 dB. I mean, just mess with the compressor, just do a little bit of gain. The rule of thumb for me, as far as volume and gain, is trying to increase anything by 1.5 dB. Of course, Voxingo span helps a lot. Like I was saying, when you're doing your mixing. Where is it? Sorry. Voxingo span does help a lot to help you when you're slapping some distortion on your kick, or you're doing EQ, so that way you get a visual of what exactly you're doing to that kick. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share with your homies. Like I said, the next video will be based on the kick and bass relationship, how to glue them, mixing. Should be another 30-minute video. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and play the idea, and this is the same idea that that's gonna be on the next tutorial for the kick and bass mix relationship. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and play it. Alright, you guys. Hope you liked this tutorial. This is Mr. Dela X signing off. Peace.